I've just talked about that an awful lot as going through here, because what I'm going to show you now are what we call stock platforming, stock scenery. Oh, why? Platform. Platform equals floor, equals level, equals riser, equals whatever someone else called it. It's something that we stand on. It's the thing below. People call them all kinds of different things. Fundamentally, they are horizontal structures designed and engineered to support something, human, scenery, etc. Common building block of building a set. This is what we have. This is a stock platform. What are stock platforms? This is how we build platforms in our scene shop. Has plywood on top, has 2x4s for framing. This particular platform has 4 different legs on it of 4 different styles. This is a couple pieces of plywood that are glued and stapled together and cut to length and then just screwed in with screws. This is a leg that is a piece of 2x4 with a small piece of plywood we call a plywood scab. So there's a scab that connects the leg of the leg to the framing. This is a leg that has got holes drilled in it with bolts that hold it on. Very strong connection. This one is the same thing, it's just 2x4 with screws holding it together. How you do it, don't care, make sure it's strong. That just shows that there's many different ways to put a platform, put a leg on a platform. I'm a big fan of the scab leg because I think it's fastest and easiest, and it's the right balance of hassle to benefit. Pretty easy to do, goes on pretty quick, it's pretty strong. Not the strongest, but it's also way faster than drilling holes. Putting legs on that way. Why do we build platforms this way? Is there better ways to do it? The reason that we do this is because plywood is cheap and easy, well, relatively inexpensive. And it's common building material. We can just go to any store and buy it. 2x4s are a common building material. We can go to any store and buy it. It doesn't take any special skills to do this. You just have to know how big the platform is to be able to cut a 2x4 to the right length. And then you screw it all together. And so that's why we use this system. There are other systems that require more skill or different materials and things like that, but that's why most theaters use this kind of method, is because it's cheap and it's fast. And it doesn't require, we can build this with a student crew. You get into some professional theaters, they have more skilled labor and they do things slightly different. This is evolving too with the I don't know very many scene shops that don't have a CNC router. Does everybody know what CNC stands for? No. Computer numerically controlled. So we take a sheet of plywood, we put it in this big machine, and there's a cutter that goes and it cuts the plywood into the shape that you want it to because you programmed it into the computer. And it tells you what shape, and then you pull the pieces out and you click them together, not literally, but sometimes, and they fit together, and you fasten them together in a way. And so we're moving away from a person with a pile of boards and a saw cutting the boards all into individual pieces. We're making a lot of stuff out of plywood. We get a rack of plywood, it goes over to the router, gets cut into pieces, and then it goes over there and people assemble it. And so we're moving in, you're gonna see that this goes away probably in the next decade to faster, easier. I don't know about faster and easier, more technology heavy, because they're going to be programmed, you're going to be designing it all in the computer, and then you're going to send those files straight to the machine that cuts the parts out, instead of giving it to a human being that's going to cut those parts out. But then the human being has to take those parts off of the machine and assemble them still. The engineer is sitting at the computer, figuring out how strong everything needs to be, and figuring out how to cut the pieces out to make the piece of scenery strong enough. It's not the carpenter out in the shop that's figuring it out anymore. They're not, oh, well, this needs to be a heavier board or a taller board or a skinnier board. There's a brace there. That's all being figured out before you get to there. The person on the floor is just assembling parts. Okay, that's platforms. Look, a baby platform. I just talked about. Oh, and the handout. If you go into Canvas, there's a handout there that has pictures and diagrams and more information. We've got no overhang. 2x4 down the side, 2x4 framing, plywood on top. Ta-da! We scroll down. This is a slightly different design. We've built platforms with both of these styles. We have both of these styles over there. This one has a slight overhang on it, and the advantage of this is that you can lay these platforms up at the same height, but put them next to each other. Then you can just use a piece of you can screw a little tab sticking out on one side, and then you can screw them together from the top without having to get under them to connect them together. That's the big advantage of having the overhang.
Why is it broken like that? Okay.
That's just a cutaway to show you that that's what the framing looks like.
Okay, okay, great.
So, I mean, the build platforms look like that.
Right.
In reality, but this is just for the sake of discussion, so you can see how it's built. And then we talk about flats. Here's the diagram of the flats. I'll drop 3 little baby flats with me. This is a hardcover flat. It's got framing on the back, and it has a piece of Luan on the front, and we paint this to do whatever we want to. This is an evolution from the soft cover flat. I don't know what the next.
You sanding all this stuff down too?
Oh, that's a Hollywood flat. This is an evolution from the soft cover flat. Back in the day, they covered everything with canvas because it was lighter weight, and wood was expensive, so canvas was cheaper. So this is a traditional soft cover flat. It's got canvas on it. It's not painted, but it has the same framing. It has corner blocks and keystones. I don't use corner blocks and keystones in my shop. Some people still do, but I don't because I use a different fastening system. I have a stapler that staples across the joint there. Do you have a question?
I was gonna say, do you sand it down or you just let it go?
It depends. It depends on what the finish needs to be. Typically, we'll get that in just a second. So, 2 different styles of framing construction and 2 different styles of skin. Rarely do you see soft cover flats anymore. How many people are in John's painting class? Or in 152, 252, whatever it is. So you're building soft cover flats over there right now. If you're learning to paint canvas. I don't even know exactly what he's doing in that class, but they've built a bunch of soft cover flats. I don't know what I was going to say about that. When we move to hardcover flats, you asked about sanding and painting. Yes, oftentimes we do what we call filling and sanding because we've stapled this together. It's got little injuries there where we've put the staple in. So we would put a little bit of filler in there and cover that up before we paint. Sometimes, this stuff comes pre-sanded, so it's smooth enough we can just paint it that way. But typically we do. We go, it's got stuff on the edges, and we're always sanding the splinters off. The other thing about wood, when you paint it, paint has a lot of liquid in it, mostly water, and the water evaporates. And so whenever you paint it on there, the wood fibers absorb the liquid, and what happens to things whenever they get wet? They swell up. And so oftentimes when you paint something and let it dry and come back, you'll feel it, and you'll be like, wow, I sanded that, it was nice and smooth, now it's rough. Because all the wood fibers swelled up and shrunk back at different rates, and so it made it rough. So oftentimes when you paint something, you want to paint it, and then you want to sand it lightly just to knock the top off of all the things that swelled up. That didn't shrink back exactly the same way that they did. The backs, you scroll down. My fingers aren't working. Hollywood flat, and you'll just notice that the framing is different. The framing is this way versus this way. There's pros and cons to why you would build a standard flat versus a Hollywood flat. There's many pros and cons to why you choose one construction style over another. One is not better than the other, one's just more appropriate for whatever your application is. So, sometimes you need the framing to be that way, you need the flat to be stronger in this dimension, in this direction, or you need it to be, sometimes you need to be thinner. There's a multitude of reasons why you would build one versus the other. So, that's just going to be on case by case basis.